everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Krisell Valenzuela, and I am the multidimensional medium behind Krisell Can. So today we're going to talk about the energy body. So while I just make sure that the sound and everything is good, um, please drop me a line and let me know that you're here, or share me an emoji, whatever calls to you. um, Let me see here. And every time I do this, oh yeah, okay, awesome. Sound is good. 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 so, um, again, my name is Krisell, and I am a multidimensional medium. And I am based on the Ajachiman lands, also known as a Tongva land and known by the Commonwealth as Los Angeles County. Before we get started today, we are going to be talking about the energy body. But I just need to take a moment to acknowledge what is happening in the country, in the US today, and over the last few days. And I have to acknowledge the murder of 6 Southeast Asian American women that happened in Atlanta, and how it is surfacing and really bringing to light how white supremacy finds itself, shows itself through current events. And it's not something that I'm fully ready to talk about because I'm realizing that I've desensitized and dissociated a lot from it. But I just want to take a moment to acknowledge what happened, and let you know that as an Asian American woman, that it does weigh heavy on me. And every time that I try to process it, I find myself in avoidance of really digging into why I don't want to talk about it, why I don't want to acknowledge it, or why I don't want to feel what's happening. And if you are on Instagram, I shared some posts with some really great resources of how you can support your fellow citizens of Asian American, that of Asian or Asian American descent. Excuse me. So I wanted to take a moment to share that. Um, so deep breath. So today we're going to talk about the energy body. And we're going to talk about what is the energy body? Why should you know about the energy body? We're going to talk about, I feel like I skipped over a question here. What is the energy body? Why should you know about the energy body? And how can you further connect with the energy body? Um, Feel free to drop questions because this is interactive as much as I'm sharing information with you guys. If you have any questions, please drop them and I am happy to share them and answer them. Next week, so every Thursday, I do a virtual demonstration on Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. And every first Thursday, I do emoji readings. Every second Thursday, I do psychic development. Every third Thursday, I have some sort of teaching. And every fourth Thursday, I do a Q&A. So if I don't have time to get to all of the questions today, I'll let them spill over into next week's and answer them then, in addition to any other questions that come up. So as we get started, I just want to share a few announcements. So May 15th, I have a really exciting event coming up, and I'm just waiting for the marketing to come out so that I could share it with everyone. But it's going to be a very special gallery reading. So if you are not already on my mailing list, join my mailing list, and I share all of this information at the beginning of the month. I also have a psychic and mediumship development circle on April 17th and May 22nd. And then this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, I'll be hosting my first virtual group past life regression. And if you're interested in joining, there's a discount code Canon to join the past life regression for free. And then two more announcements. My Connect and Work with Your Spirit Guides course is now on demand, and it's through a Facebook group, and it's about 2 hours worth of content that you can do self-guided, self-paced. And it's my favorite part of it is that it's in a community. So not only are you having your individual experience, but you are learning from the group. You're learning in a community, and we're learning from each other. So I go in, I answer questions in there, but I also do a live 1 hour video session to answer any new questions. And one of the things that I do is I go through meeting your guides with you to see who's in there with you and share that with you, because I know in the beginning that can be very helpful to validate yourself. Hi, Shell. Thanks so much for joining. And hi, Savannah. Thanks so much for joining. And then I'm sorry. So that course is currently $35. And then after April 1st, it'll go up to the full price of $70. So right now, my Spirit Guides course is being offered 50% off on demand. So head to my website and check it out. And then coming soon, I'm really excited to share that I'm coming out with a curated guided journey through my different offerings to help people shed their conditioned beliefs and come back to the truth of who they are. And so what this is really bringing you in closer connection with your soul, with the core of who you are, so that you can get back to your soul's mission in this human experience. It comes with, I want to say, 6 sessions. You get access to all of my on-demand courses, which is going to include my beginner intuitive workshop. And the sessions that I offer are offerings that I offer now, but because it's a curated, guided journey through all of them for a cohesive intention, each session is longer to support the integration of the energy that's going through and to really draw everything together. So if you have any questions on that, you can schedule a free consultation with me to learn more. Oh, thank you, Shell. I appreciate you. So let's dive in. So why don't you guys drop me a number? So if you guys are present with me, drop me a number from 1 through 5. 5 being I know it, I'm an expert, and 1 being I may have heard that term before or terms related to that before, but I'm not really sure. So give me a number, drop me a number 1 through 5 in the comments of how comfortable you are with the energy body. How comfortable are you with the energy body? Hi, Janelle. Thanks so much for joining. Happy to have you guys here. Let's see. So if you guys are just joining, drop me a number 1 through 5, just so I know who I'm working with here today. Cool. 4, 1, 1. Hey, Nadia. Thanks so much for joining. Okay, so we got some 1s and we got a 4 here. So, Shell, because I want to make sure everyone starts kind of at gets the same foundations. Some of this might be old news to you. But what we're going to do, the scale is 1 through 5 of how well you understand what the energy body is, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. But thank you for being here, Hawaiian Diva. So what I'm going to do is this will be something that I will expand on in the future. So if you're into all the things that I offer in the virtual demonstrations, then you can join me when you join me. But if you are really interested in these teachings that I have, then come back every third Thursday, and I'm going to be expanding on this. So let's see who else is here. Hey, Monica. Let's see. Okay. So what I want to start with is getting everyone to the point where they understand what the energy body is, even if it's at this like very basic level. But before I jump into the content, it's so important for me to share with people that your lived experience and all the things that are unique to you are so valuable in how you perceive and understand the world. Like they happen to you for a reason, they are for you, not to you. And so, whenever you are beginning a relationship with any new information or with anything, your whole lived experience, you should take into consideration. So, and I say that because one of the things I'm going to talk about today, and I don't want to get too much into it because it'll throw me off my plan. um, there is information that we'll go over, and there are different nuances. So, what's important to know is that what resonates with you and how you connect with it, that's important. The information that I'm going to share with you today is basically like we play telephone. Even the information that I have received direct from source and I'm sharing with you, how I share it to you is through my own personal filter. So I say that just to say that the information I provide is not meant to be the authority, but is meant to be a starting point for you in your journey. And what I recommend is to build your own relationship with information. So take what I share with you, plant it in your garden and nurture it with your energy and see how it blooms and speaks to you. And that is your truth, and that is what you need to know. I hope I made sense. Okay. So let's talk about the energy body. So we're all aware of this physical body that we have, right? The energy body, because we are mind, body, and spirit, the energy body is just our spirit, our spiritual body. It's the spirit plane. So yes, spirituality is just about our energy. And so the energy body, so let me take a step back here. Because we are mind, body, and spirit, the energy body is part of the greater body that we are. So our physical body is connected with the energy body, and the energy body corresponds to our spirit self, our spiritual self. Now, the reason why you want to know about the energy, your energy body, is because it is, when we think about the divine communicating with us in all the ways that it does, the energy body is part of that communication. As I just mentioned, our energy body is connected to our physical body. So one informs the other back and forth. The energy body is a point of awareness. So when we think again about the divine communication that we're receiving in all ways and all that it does, our energy body is just one of those ways that our divine nature is communicating with us. And so our goal is to listen and give attention where attention is being asked of, and our goal is to find balance in our energy. Now what that balance looks like is different for each person. It's just depends on you. And I say that because a lot of times When balance comes up, people think balance, so like 50-50. I need to be half this and half that. But that ignores that's like compartmentalizing things and trying to fit things in a neat box. There is no neat box. We are all so unique, and you have your own special shape, and I have my own special shape. And so I require a very unique blend, and you require a very unique blend. And that's the point that I want to get across, is that your balance is a very unique blend for you. So the energy centers. So our energy body is made up of various energy centers, and these energy centers are what we commonly refer to as chakras. And chakra, let's just talk about the word chakra for a second. So chakra is a word rooted in the Hindu tradition, which refers to wheel. And depending on how much time we have after I go through like what I plan to go through, I'll talk a little about the structure of a chakra, because it's a wheel. And the earliest recorded occurrence of the word chakra is from the Hindu Vedic tradition. The word chakra shows up in many different languages, which include Sanskrit. The way they spell is kaka, or no, yeah, kaka. And in Pali, which is pronounced kakra, kakra. And you've probably heard of the Hindu 7 chakra system, but there are lots of different systems from different traditions. And they have more or less, they have like more centers or less centers. It all just depends on the tradition. To give you an example, the Tibetan system uses 6 energy centers. The Salagi, which is the indigenous name for the Cherokee tribe, the Salagi system has 7 centers. The Incan system has 8 centers. The Narayana system has 9 centers. And then there are even systems that use 12 energy centers. And so before we get overwhelmed with like, oh my God, there are all these different systems, which one do I follow? Which one is right? When I look at all of these different systems and like at a broad level, they're all covering the same information. But let's look at it this way, kind of how I mentioned, things are coming through different filters. The information was coming to these different cultures through their particular filter. And let's just take into consideration that, if we really wanted to know these systems wholly, because they were interpreted and translated into a very complicated language, English, we'd have to learn these systems in their native language to truly understand and feel and know what the information was. So what I like to think is that learn one and know that all these other different systems is just an interpretation of the information through the culture. And to give you an example, so the Hindu seven energy center system uses a base chakra or root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye, crown. The Salagi, they, instead of having a root chakra, they call it the secret region or the secret center. And so it's still, when I read about what the secret center is, it's the same as the base chakra. So there. Let's see. Okay. So the location of these centers. So let me bring it back to the physical body. The locations of these centers, and sorry, I was just thinking if I should bring one up on the screen, and I will. Let's see here. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. So here is a document that I usually hand out to people that I have classes with. And all you really need to notice in this is the location of where the different energy centers are. And where these energy centers are means it has purpose. So it corresponds to the major organs in those areas. And I want to make this relation, this correlation, because in knowing the energy center system has actually made me more aware on a mental emotional level how my physical body is speaking to me about the effects of my mental emotional well-being. So when we talk about the root chakra, actually I want to talk about the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra is located just below the belly button in what we would consider like the triangle of our womb space, or kind of more or less where our reproductive organs reside. And is it coincidence? I don't think so. But the sacral chakra is all about how we feel, how we sense, and how we create our creative expression, which is almost like a literal interpretation of our reproductive organs. And, excuse me. So it's almost like a literal interpretation of our reproductive organs. Our throat chakra is located in our throat, and the throat chakra is actually oftentimes in traditions like um, Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, connected to the thymus gland. I believe it's the thymus gland that's located in the throat, which has to, and when we think about like the physical connection of it, it oftentimes has to do with our throat, yes, also with how we use our voice. Like our vocal cords are in there, our voice box is in there, and when we think about the energy of our throat chakra, oftentimes it has to do with that. Later on, I'm still figuring out how I'm going to present this, but the throat chakra, actually all the chakras are related to, it's what's considered like an action organ. So exercising this particular organ helps you bring balance, or draw energy into these energy centers. There are different exercises that you can also do that help to open up these energy centers and bring balance to them. A lot of these exercises have to do with yoga, like stretching, um, like cat cow. That is a form of like a heart opener and throat opener. Um, what else? Downward dog is kind of like, downward dog is kind of like a heart opener, but also a root, like kind of like a root exercise, because it's something that you really need to be firmly rooted and planted for. Um, Squats are a sacral chakra exercise. And when you do kettlebell exercises, it's actually meant to strengthen your pelvic muscles, which help to strengthen your sacral chakra and your reproductive organs, supporting your reproductive organs. So, knowing where the different chakras or energy centers are placed can also help you understand, like, um, if I feel some kind of like pulsating or tension in my forehead, or in actually, yeah, in my forehead, And even if it's like where my third eye or brow chakra would be, but in the back of my head, I know that that's related to that energy center. If I feel something, if I feel tightening in my chest and my heart, I know it's related to my heart chakra. If I feel something in, like in my ribs, I know that's my solar plexus, and so on and so forth. Again, this is where it helps to root yourself in your own experience and understand like what that means for you, because it could mean more than that. So I mentioned, I think I mentioned, actually, let me take a step back, meridians. So meridians move in between the energy centers, and they're pathways. They're energetic pathways that, sorry, I wanted to take that out. So meridians are energetic pathways that move the energy from that center throughout your body. I don't have a graphic for meridians, but you can easily Google meridians and get an idea of what the different where the meridians are located in your body. And that's another thing. So I have a video on YouTube, and my video on YouTube is about the organ clock. So if you've ever heard of circadian rhythm, it's the exact same thing as the organ clock from traditional Chinese medicine, which says that our body, let me pause right there. If you're into astrology, you know there's a sun sign and a moon sign. And so it's this practice, this language, this understanding, or this system that understands that we have a special connection to the sun and we have a special connection to the moon. And traditional Chinese medicine's organ clock and circadian rhythm take that a step further and says that the sun rules the part of our body that knows it's time to work, and the moon rules the part of our body that knows it's time to rest. And so what happens is, as the sun is rising and taking its path, different parts of our body are awakened at different points of the sun, different positions of the sun. It's just kind of like the different lunar cycles, how the new moon has a different energy from the first quarter moon, has a different energy as the full moon, and has a different energy than the last quarter moon. So at certain times, our organs are at different peaks. And so I bring this up because if you pay attention to what you're feeling at what time and what part of your body, you can actually refer to an organ clock and get a better understanding. And the reason why it's so important for me to share this, or why I find it so valuable, is because let's just be real. We grew up in a society that told us not to trust ourselves, that told us what to do, when to do, and how to do it. So if we're going to talk about listen to ourselves, it's almost like coming from the society that we've been raised in, to say trust yourself without having a deeper or a stronger connection with the vessel that we're going to let speak to us. It's almost like being dropped in a desert with no water. Like, okay, what does that mean? So for me, that's really helped me understand myself and create awareness around what I'm going through. I mean, at the beginning of this video, I shared how desensitized I've become. And it reminds me that I'm still very green in my own spiritual journey in some ways. Because while spirituality is all about creating awareness and having that personal awareness, um, even myself, with how much awareness I can have about all the things about myself, I still have certain parts of myself that I block myself off to. So, understanding the energy body helps us understand ourselves better. Okay. Um, did I already mention that energies, that the chakras are like energy centers that input and output energy? So when we think about, okay, well, how do I know if my energy center is overactive, or what does it mean if it's like calling out to me and I keep seeing signs that are calling attention to it? How does that happen? Or like, how is this all related to the aura? And I'm sorry because I see my bra and I'm trying to hide it. Okay, so I talked about meridians and how those are the pathways between the energy centers. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the aura. And I'm going to show you something. So a couple years ago, it was really fun, and I did an aura photo. There we go. And these are special cameras that are sensitive to light and can capture the different frequencies in the light field. And that's what it's doing, because the aura is not always visible to the physical eye. It's like this super high frequency. Like, can you see a laser? Can you always see the laser? It depends. It has to be like a certain emitted wavelength in order for us to see it, right? So the aura is really how that's connected to all of this is a projection of our energy centers. And what gets projected is telling us the the energy center that we are operating through the most of. So mine had the person that read my aura. She said that there was some, I can't tell if that's green or turquoise, and then it was magenta, violet, and pink, and there's some blue there. I'm going to show you my son. That's my son, JJ. And his aura had a lot of red and orange. So I'm not gonna bring up the picture again, but the colors that I have in my picture correspond to my hair. I'm just kidding. I mean, it is like the same color as my hair, but it corresponds to the crown chakra, the brow chakra, the heart chakra, and the throat chakra. More of the brow or the third eye than the throat. And what those all speak to have to do with like my openness to receiving divine downloads or spiritual downloads, like receiving communication. It also speaks to how I vision and use my third eye, because that's a lot. Your third eye is where you dream and where you imagine, and what you vision is what you create. When you vision it and then ground it in reality, that's how you manifest. Our throat chakra is about how we use our voice, and the heart chakra is about kind of like it's this filter of how we see life and filter through things, but it's also about how we give and how we receive. Pink is a secret chakra. Just kidding. So pink is actually considered the high heart. Not a lot of systems reference the high heart chakra. Excuse me. But it's like this elevation of the love that we have, and it really speaks to self love and compassion. Compassion is where we give ourselves some grace and ease, and where we would normally be very harsh on ourselves is where we learn to love ourselves and know that we can be in the present moment, and that's perfect, and that we're more than enough. Excuse me, that's my dog. Um, so that is the relationship between the aura and our energy centers and how they project and speak to us and communicate with us. My son, his energy centers were primarily his root chakra and his sacral chakra. Um, I I like to think, when I think about the energy centers, I like to think of it as building blocks. and how we need to create a foundation. We need to create a foundation in order to build on top of. And so, if we don't have a balanced foundation in our root, then when we move up into the higher energy centers, it's easy to lose balance. It's easy to fall. If you guys are familiar with tarot archetypes, that's where we fall into the tower, because we need to take our time and build the structure that will support us. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. And what questions do you guys have? And if you guys are interested in the document that I showed, it's something that I'm going to be sharing in the future once I've shared all the information on it, because it's a lot of information. It's a document that I usually share with my mentoring students to help them connect with a lot of the information that comes with it. And let's see here. Hi, Nina. Thanks for joining. Okay. So, what I'd like to do is actually walk you guys through some practices to build and strengthen your connection with the different energy centers. And if the Hindu tradition of 7 energy centers doesn't speak to you, find one that does, because this is just a language. It's like, there are these different love languages, and you have to connect with one of them, or you have a love language and you need to find one that communicates with you, one that you understand. So if the Hindu tradition of 7 centers doesn't speak to you, I named 3, but there are still way more out there, and get to know them. Find one that works for you. I know where, okay. On the Salagi system, there's a book by, there's this book by Cindy Dale, and it's called The Subtle Body. Let me put that there. And actually, I will put it in the comments too. So I just put in the chat. That is a book that was gifted to me, and I learned so much about it. And so I will be sharing bits and pieces of it. But I also want to share that, because I got triggered. I got triggered when I was reading this book, because I have this thing about people making information proprietary and gatekeeping. And I also have this thing about people claiming like saying that information is proprietary to them. Because in my short time of diving into metaphysics, I've noticed that a lot of people are doing the same thing. That's not to say that they're not special, because I think what makes what they're doing special is them and their energy. But what they're teaching is the same thing. And there are people that are receiving the download and claiming it as their own. But it's just that Spirit spoke to you and you answered the call. It doesn't mean that you made it, because actually Spirit, God, Creator, the divine made it and decided to work with you, and you answered the call. And I say that because there is a section in the book where the author said that she discovered and that she created and developed a system. And I'm like, no, you didn't. And I also say that because before I got this book, I was getting, if you've ever seen my readings, you may have noticed that I say, I feel it in my back, I feel it on my side, I feel it in the front. And that all means something. And that's part of the anatomy of the energy body. And when I read her book, it validated. It was cool to know that it wasn't just me. And I didn't learn that from her. I also don't claim that I discovered it. I think that Spirit is speaking to us in a way, and that if you feel like you need to say first in line, then okay. But I also question, like, well, where does your need to claim first in line come from too? Okay, and rant. So I talked about how I feel it's so important for us to connect with the information through our own experience, because um, that's where we deepen our relationship with it. That is where we have the most profound understanding, because Spirit is speaking to us through our own experience, and Spirit uses our lived experience to communicate with us. You got me, Monica. um, so I want to share different ways that you can connect with the energy and unfold what you unfold, and really just like grow your understanding of it. And so these are practices that are also meant to be starting points, because it also depends on you. So if you're familiar with neurolinguistic programming, then and if you don't, I'll explain. But neurolinguistic programming says that we all have a different style of communicating, whether it be how we receive communication or how we deliver communication, that speaks more profoundly to us. So if you're a visual person, then it's easy for you to see something and to understand it, and it's also easy for you to communicate in pictures. And if you are an auditory person, then you just need to hear it, or it's easy for you to speak, or it's through hearing that is the easiest for you to communicate. And then there's also kinesthetic, which is you have to feel it. So these are the people that need to write it down, feel writing it down, or connect it to an emotion. Um, you can also be very mixed up and combined with all three of these. And I feel like there's even more, because when I first read a book about neurolinguistic programming, I'm just going to call it NLP. When I first read a book about NLP, what I learned was that these are psychic faculties. When we are very visionary, that's third eye. When we're very auditory, that's throat. When we are kinesthetic, that's clairsentience. And so I feel like some people associate a lot with scent, with taste, with a memory, a knowing. And so let that be your guide. Like, what is the easiest communication for you? And let that be your guide of connecting with this information. So the first practice would be working with crystals. This is kind of easy because everyone's got some crystals. And if you don't think you have crystals, if you have jewelry, you have crystals. By the way, I'm wearing white jade earrings from my friend TJ. Okay, so what you can do, because crystals all correspond to a different energy center. You'll notice with the different colors of crystals that they all correspond to a different energy center. So all those green crystals, they correspond to heart chakra. All those yellow crystals, they correspond to the solar plexus, and so on and so forth. Yes, we have black and we have gold crystals, and those all connect with root chakra or base chakra, same thing. They also connect with our earth star chakra. And I'm not going to blow your minds yet. I'll talk more about that probably in a future live. But you can take one of these crystals, sit with it, and set the intention for the crystal to connect you with the wisdom of the energy center. And whenever you meditate, people think you're supposed to sit in meditation in silence. What's going to happen is you've set the intention for that time to be connected. And so for that time that you are working with that crystal and sitting in that intention, Spirit is going to communicate to you through your senses. So you may hear a word, a song, have a memory, have a picture pop up in your head, a symbol. Your attention might be drawn to like something that you see. That is spirit speaking to you. A lot of people close their eyes in meditation. So if you're the kind that closes your eyes, obviously you won't draw your attention to something. But if you're the few, the rare, the special that meditate with their eyes open, which is a form of meditation, eyes open, staring meditation, or what is it, gazing meditation, then that is something to keep in mind. Because a lot of people, they're like, well, nothing happens to me. It's like, no, something's happening. You're just not paying attention. It's very subtle. So sit with a crystal and see what comes up. You can use a crystal to support you in all of these ways as well. It's just another tool to help you connect with the energy of that energy center. My favorite, because I'm a visual person, is to go into meditation without the tool and just set the intention to connect with an energy center. And what I do, because I'm visual, is I will visualize the chakra and let it morph into something. Let it speak to me through the symbolism and through this visual. Sometimes people visualize the energy center and then touch it in their visualization and see what sensations come up there. You can personify the energy center and ask it, create a relationship with it. If this was your friend, how would you treat it? But like a good friend, not like an acquaintance. So treat it like a person and get to know it, which is going to sound familiar if you've taken my other classes, because this is pretty much what I do with a lot of things. I start by treating it as a person and creating a relationship with it. And the better of a relationship you have, the more open you will both be, because there will be an established trust between you and the energy center, your guides, whatever. You will create an open line. You'll be an open medium to receive whatever information it wants to give you. So you can ask it to show you. You can ask it to give you a sound or a song that will help you connect with the information or the truth of that energy center. And if you are the kinesthetic type, where you have to feel it, you have to write it, you can journal. And what this is automatic writing. So you can start your journal, begin with a prompt like, what do I need to know for my highest good of this root chakra center, root energy center? And just let your pencil flow, let your pen flow, let your writing utensil flow. You could start with, and this is, if you are new to metaphysics, energy, meditation, it's going to be like working with murky pipes, with clogged pipes. So it's all a practice, and consistency helps clear the pipes. So if nothing happens the first time, you have to be committed. You have to keep practicing, and then it will flow more and more each time. I think back to when I first started. I did a workshop and we met our guides in that workshop. And while I saw people, their images were very distorted. And it's because it was my first time and I had some murky pipes. And then I had another teacher give me an exercise to have my guides reveal themselves to me. And I tried it for like a week and it didn't work. But you have to keep going. That's the thing, is you have to keep going, and whatever beliefs you have that tell you that this is not real and you can't do this, you have to, what you're doing is rewiring your brain to release those beliefs so that you could be in the position to allow it to happen. because you're the one, I was the one that was preventing it from happening. Excuse me. Okay, so it looks like I have a few minutes. That concludes the information that I wanted to share for today. And what questions do you guys have on what I shared? And I know I showed you my graphic on the 7 chakra system. And you could easily Google the chakras and find it out there. So I didn't think to include any more of it. But yeah, what questions do you guys have? Let's see here. It is a lot of info, Monica. And we didn't even really go over the different energy centers. I think what's helpful to me, because it's easy to feel overwhelmed with all the info, because the info is never complete. And I say that not to say that you'll never know all of it, but the info is always growing within us. What you need to know will always present itself when you need to know it, as long as you're open. So Nadia said, sorry, let me complete my thought. So whatever you need to know will always present itself in the moment. And as long as you're open to grow with your connection, grow with the information that you learn, then it will come in perfect timing. I hope that helps, Monica. So Nadia asks, just to clarify, the chakras are energy centers, and together they make up part of the energy body. Yes, that's correct. The chakras are energy centers with the meridians that make up part of the energy body. So let me just blow your mind a little bit. The aura. So when we talk about the aura and how it's a projection of the energy centers, they're the energy centers, the meridians, and then we have layers. So imagine an egg around you, and there are different layers of different eggs, and the aura is just one of them. So there are more layers, and your energetic field, which is the total encompassing energy body, expands to so much space. So when we think about feeling other people's energy, you're really feeling, depending on your sensitivity, you're most likely feeling a closer layer of them. Because if you were to see someone's total energetic field, it's actually quite large. It's like bigger than a house. I took a class with Virgil Mayor Apostol, who is a Filipino spiritual healer, and he had this story about how I think it was a man that was working with a woman, and she wanted to know how big her energy field was, and so the person went like next door to show them, this is how far out it goes. And yes, your energy field is that big. So I also want to share, like, if you're that person that feels small, because I was that person too, to know that your energy field is freaking huge, I just feel supports the idea that you are so big, and you need to be ready to claim all the space that you take, all the energetic space that you take, and be comfortable with that. All right, any other questions? Well, you guys are always welcome to drop comments. If you think of other questions and I answer them. And I think it's really great when you drop comments if you have questions later, because then the people that watch the replay get to get to benefit from your questions too. Where can you purchase aura cameras? I don't know where you can purchase aura cameras because I actually wanted to get one too, and I read that they are very old technology, so I don't know if they still make them. I mean, they have to make them because the one that I got my picture taken with, it didn't look ancient. Um, so that's a great question. I'm going to research that, and I may just answer you in the chat when I have the answer. And yes, your chakras are dynamic. So because your chakras are projecting out into your aura, like my family took aura photos. That was in 2019. If I took an aura photo now, depending on where I'm at in life, my picture could be different. And that happens day to day too, depending on the things that you're going through and just what you're how you doing, your chakras, your energy centers will change. They are very dynamic. They are living. They're ecstatic. So not only does the depth of the color to the lightness change, the size changes. It's a moving. I mentioned that chakra means wheel. It's moving, and it spins. And there are different layers to the chakra, and they spin in different directions. And so, depending on the speed that it spins and the axis that it spins, those all speak to the health. See, that's why I'm saving the structure, the structure and anatomy of a chakra for later. Okay, so I actually found some aura cameras. If you just Google aura camera, I found a few on Google. So they're also known as Kirlian cameras. Kirlian, Kirlian, cameras. I'm gonna drop it in the comments. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I love sharing this stuff with you guys. And if you have any ideas or suggestions or things that you're interested in, let me know because I'm happy to share whatever it is that you're interested in. Again, I have a group past life regression on Tuesday, and I don't normally, I have only used discount codes a few times. So I didn't realize that by creating a discount code, all of those had to be discount codes. So I opened up a few more spaces in my group past life regression on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So thank you everyone for joining. If you're interested in joining a group past life regression and want to take it for free, the discount code is Cannon, CANNON. And thank you again. Have a wonderful evening and have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye.